Breaking news alerts, overnight news, plus weather and traffic every 10 minutes. This is CBS 47 on your side this morning.
It's election day, so who will run our country for the next 4 years? One thing is for sure, the national polls aren't giving us any hints. I'm Renee Marsh reporting from the Obama headquarters. That story's straight ahead.
It's election day for Mitt Romney, but he has made his campaign trail a little bit longer. I'm Emily Schmidt in Boston. I will show you the last-minute stretch coming up.
And with the polls as tight as they are, it's anybody's election. Or is it? We'll break down the presidential race, talk numbers with our political analyst, Ken Price. Good morning. I'm Zara Arboleta. It is 6:30. It's warm outside. We'll get your forecast in a moment. But it is the busiest day of the year today for the Fresno County Elections Office, as well as elections offices around the country. Staff's been working for months, and it all comes down to today. CBS 47's Mike Scott joins us live from the elections headquarters downtown. Good morning again, Mike.
About 30 minutes away now from the polls opening, Zara. Yeah, and it is starting to get busy here at the Fresno County Elections Office in downtown Fresno. An estimated 1,600 precinct workers will be fanning out to nearly 300 polling places all across the county. A lot of people don't even go to the polls anymore. You know, they vote absentee. Here in Fresno County, 208,000 absentee ballots were sent out, and about almost half of those have already been returned. And that means that some of the very tight, closely contested races in Fresno County, we may not know the results of those races for several days as all of those absentee ballots are counted. Now, what happens today if you have any kind of a problem, you're not sure where to vote, any questions about the election? Here's what the county clerk recommends.
At the end of the night, we have to bring in all of the election supplies, and there's 3 bags of about 30 pounds each. And so we need some young muscle. And so we've partnered with the Fresno State baseball team, the Fresno City baseball team, and I think even the Fresno Pacific cheerleaders are going to come tonight. I hear they have a lot of muscle, and they're going to help us put all the supplies away tonight.
Okay, I apologize. That was not the correct comment there from the county clerk. She says if you have any problems today, go to 600, or just call 600-VOTE. 600-VOTE, that is 600-8683. And Sarah, let me show you here. A lot of folks here at the elections office have been coming in with these little, I don't know if you can see, they're red, white, and blue. They're just wristbands. Starbucks giving those out today to anybody who comes in and votes. I don't know why. It's not good for like a free Starbucks or anything, but yeah, everybody's walking around the office today wearing these from Starbucks.
Yeah, they say indivisible on them, don't they?
Oh, do they?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, you know what? Now that I look at it, I see that. Yeah.
Mike's like, give me my free coffee. That's what he wants it said. Thanks so much, Mike. Again, the polls open around California in 28 minutes. Here's a live look at your Fresno Skyview camera. Jenny. Okay, it's supposed to be November, and it feels like we're in the middle of summer again. Well, not quite summer, but it's definitely
close
warm.
enough. It's very warm out there, yeah. Good morning, Zara. Good morning, everybody. And that's a beautiful look at our Skyview camera there. And you can see the light coming over the mountains. Temperatures today are going to be well above average. And in the sunshine, if you're running around, it might feel like 90s today. There's a look at our live pinpoint Doppler. Clear skies across central California, including for the mountains. And temperatures right now starting to warm up as we have that sunrise. We're at 54 degrees in Fresno, mid to upper 40s in the South Valley, low 50s to the north. And temperatures, thanks to the time change, we're going to hit the 70s by 10 this morning. That's our average high this time of year, but we'll see it in the morning. We'll get up to 85 degrees for your high in the shade. So again, the sunshine is going to feel pretty warm, but an early sunset time at 4:55. So beautiful election day forecast, but a big change on the way, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
Before we get to more campaign news, let's take a quick look at Wall Street this morning. Dow off to a good start. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up about 40 points after 3 minutes of trading. As you know by now, the polls claim things are extremely tight in the presidential race. We have reports from both camps this half hour. We start with the challenger, Mitt Romney. Emily Schmidt reporting from Boston now.
Tonight, Mitt Romney holds his election night rally right here in Boston, but he is still on the campaign trail, hoping to rein in some critical undecided votes in the critical swing states. A high-energy rally in New Hampshire topped off an exhaustive day on the campaign trail for Republican challenger Mitt Romney.
Your primary vote put me on the path to win the Republican nomination. And tomorrow, your votes and your work right here in New Hampshire will help me become the next president of the United States.
He hopscotched the country yesterday, hitting crucial swing states from Florida to Virginia to Ohio, attacking President Obama on his record and touting his credentials as a businessman who knows what it takes to fix the economy.
I'm not going to spend my time trying to pass partisan legislation that's unrelated to jobs. From day one, I'm going to go to work to help Americans get back to work.
In one of the closest presidential elections in history, the campaign continues on Election Day. Romney has 2 more meet and greet stops in Pennsylvania and Ohio, a state many consider the key to the White House.
There are ways to put it together, I suppose, with some of the new expanding the map possibilities. Pennsylvania's one, Minnesota's one, Michigan is one based on one poll. But Ohio's pretty darn important.
His running mate Paul Ryan visits Ohio and Virginia. The Romney campaign says it's going to keep working to keep the energy going until the polls close. Mitt Romney says every vote counts. He still has to vote today. He and his wife Ann are scheduled to vote around 8:30 this morning in Belmont, Massachusetts, about 10 miles from here. Then he goes back out on the road to try to claim those big electoral prizes waiting in Ohio and Pennsylvania. In Boston, I'm Emily Schmidt.
And actually, he just did vote. And when a reporter asked, well, who did you vote for? He said, I think you know. President Obama cast his vote weeks ago, but there's still a lot of buzz in his hometown of Chicago. Renee Marsh continues our team coverage.
Well, we've seen the blitz of political ads, we've seen the sound bites from the stump speeches, and we've seen all of those debates. Election Day is finally here, and later on tonight, the president will take to the stage at that podium to speak right here at McCormick Place, which is headquarters for the Obama campaign.
Are you fired up? Are you fired up?
A rousing and emotional speech in Iowa left the president with a tear in his eye and hearkening back to where he started promoting change in the 2008 Iowa caucuses.
We cannot be stopped. And after all we've been through together, after all that we've fought through together, we cannot give up on change now.
His dizzying tour across the country marks the end of an era for the president, his final presidential campaign. From Wisconsin to Ohio and Iowa, he focused not only on the undecided voters, but re-energized the loyal voters from 2008 to cast their ballot again.
It all comes down to you. It's out of my hands now. It's in yours. The single most powerful force in our democracy is you. Moving this country forward begins with you.
The president is in Chicago today while the country gets out to vote. Per tradition, he will play a game of basketball with his staff before ending his day at McCormick Place in Chicago, where he hopes for a repeat of that 2008 November night. Well, the president already voted. He participated in early voting. So today, what we can expect from the president, some pre-taped radio interviews, some satellite interviews, and possibly going around to different sites to thank some local volunteers right here in Chicago. Reporting in Chicago, I'm Renee Marsh.
So here's what we have planned for you on this election day. We're on your side with a special edition of CBS 47 News at 3 o'clock this afternoon. At 3:30, national coverage begins, but we'll still have local updates every half hour with a complete wrap-up tonight on CBS 47 at 11. We're joined once again by our CBS 47 political analyst Ken Price from Baker, Manick & Jensen, talking about the presidential race this time. The big question for me is, how many electoral votes do you think Roseanne Barr is going to get?
Oh, she's going to be a contender this year.
You know, I completely forgot that she was even in the race till I got my sample ballot.
Peace and freedom.
Peace and freedom, because she's running with Cindy Sheehan.
Yes.
Okay, getting back to the real issues now. 538 electoral votes up for grabs. How do you see President Obama and Governor Romney stacking up those votes?
Well, if you watch the political pundits, they claim that Democrats, the president, walks into the race with about 240 electoral votes.
That's his base that he already has. Yeah.
And Governor Romney about 190. So, we hear and we read about this advantage that the president has, and I think that's really where it comes from. And so if Governor Romney is to win, he has to he has to he has to take a few more of these swing states. So the president has a more sort of natural progression to get to 270. But, you know, look, these polls are very, very close. We know they're close. We're talking about national polls that are tied, literally, and swing states that are within a point or two of each other. So it's going to be very close.
Turnout is very good. That's what people around the country are reporting. These are live pictures from Rockaway, New Jersey. Of course, they were just hit by Sandy. They weren't sure what turnout would be like. There are long lines there. My aunt lives in Jersey City, so she got her electricity back on. She's heading out to the polls. How do you think turnout's going to be across the country?
Well, 4 years ago, the turnout was just about 80%, which is historically high. Of course, everyone should vote, but
yes,
but that was 4 years ago. If it's that kind of turnout this time, some people think that might help the president somewhat. If it goes down to the 70% range, that actually may help Governor Romney, because Republicans historically turn out in better numbers than Democrats.
We were just looking at a live picture of Orange County, Florida, right there. That's Orange County, Florida, one of the key states here. How do you think Florida, Ohio, Nevada, how do you think those are going to play out today? Because I know those are some of the key ones there.
Well, it is true that a Republican has never won the White House without Ohio. Ohio is absolutely critical to Governor Romney. He has to win Ohio. Nevada seems to be trending towards the president, and Florida seems to be trending towards Governor Romney, a state that President Obama won 4 years ago. So, you know, all these paths seem to be sort of gathering towards Ohio. That's where everyone's going to be looking. And if the president wins Ohio and they call it early, it may be a relatively early night. If Governor Romney wins Ohio, then we have a real race in our hands. Okay,
and what's the over-under on the amount of times we're going to hear too close to call today?
Oh, yeah, and this has been the year of the political phrase. If I hear the phrase "double down" again, I think I'm. Yeah.
Well, no, wasn't it double down on? I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna figure out what goes on. The polls close here in California at 8 o'clock. You'll be back with us tomorrow morning to break down the results, which hopefully we'll have.
Yes.
And something interesting: if there's an actual tie for the race for the president, what happens?
Well, it goes to the House of Representatives to select the president and the Senate to select the vice president. So we could have a President Romney, Vice President Biden situation on our hands.
Very remote possibility.
Very, very remote possibility.
But still fun to think about all this stuff.
That's what keeps people like me around and excited.
See, that's why I like having political wonks like you on the set. Thanks so much, Ken Price with Baker, Manica, Jensen. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, it is 6:41 on strike. Grocery store workers picketing outside some California supermarkets. And another big storm taking aim at the East Coast. How will it impact victims of Sandy? But first, summer-like weather where we live. Jenny will have your full pinpoint forecast after the break.
Ahead on CBS This Morning, it's Election Day, and we're with the candidates and in the states that will decide the next president. Also, an inside look at how both campaigns are rushing to get supporters to the polls. And we'll talk to Newt Gingrich, Haley Barbour, Howard Dean, Dee Dee Myers, and senior advisors to both campaigns. We'll see you right at 7.